Hi, this is Caleb McGrady, and my partner Danica Dvorak is with me, and this is our presentation on our Engineering 370 project, a time study of convo security. So our first step in this project was to plan out our time study and brainstorm ideas.
DMAIC is a lean engineering concept that we used. So DMAIC stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. So this was just kind of our brainstorming DMAIC flow chart that we made. And our definition, our defined portion, was we wanted to decrease the time it took for students to go through the convocation security. So for those of you who don't know, convocation is kind of like a big assembly that Liberty University has 3 times a week. And so because it's 3 times a week, it definitely matters how quickly we can get everyone through security. And we wanted to have a low wait time with acceptable security standards. That was our goal. We didn't want to have to change any of the security standards. So to measure that, we identified what the current mean for security time was and then what it should be. We had some dates that we wanted to collect our data. We ended up collecting more data than we originally thought. And we would start each time study data point when a student dropped their bag on the table, and then we ended the time when they touched their bag to pick it back up at the end. For our analyze portion, there's a lot of different sub parts of going through security. The first part is when you are standing in queue. The second part is when you show your flames pass. The third is when you prepare for security, so you're unzipping your backpack, you're getting all ready. The fourth is actually physically going through the metal detectors, going through security, and then 5 is once you have your bag going to your seat. Improve, we wanted to improve this through our time study. We wanted to reduce the security time. So we looked at how many bags a student had, how long they were getting wanded down if the metal detector went off. And then for control, we used X bar and R charts and P charts to see where the outliers were and how our variability was.
So we also used a fishbone diagram to brainstorm what could go wrong or what could be causing defects in the convo security process. And we came up with 4 main areas: machines, methods, manpower, and process. And in the machines category, we came up with 2 reasons: either the quality of the machines or like the defective number of defective machines there were. In the methods category, we came up with 2 other possible causes. One was the number of gates that were being operated and used, and the other was the organization of the gates and how they were laid out to incorporate the crowd flow. In the manpower section, we came up with the number of security guards that were present and checking bags, and also the positioning of these guards to adequately control the crowd. In the process section, we came up with if the students coming into convo were not ready, or if they had as X number of bags, so like either 0, 1, or greater than 1.
And all of those things could be the reason why it takes so long for students to get into convocation. Next, we discussed our acceptance testing.
So originally when we started doing the time study, there were 30 security gates and roughly 10,000 students entering convocation, with 45 minutes for them to enter when the gates were open. So we calculated the number of seconds it should take for each student to go through the security process and came out with 8.1 seconds. Our calculation was 45 minutes times 60 seconds to get into just seconds. And then we divided that by the 10,000 students over the 30 gates.
However, as we were going through these time studies, there were changes in the environment that required this calculation to change. So this is just the mathematical formula from the previous slide. Our changes were that we had CFA one weekend, so the number of attendees went up, and then later LUPD added more gates. So that changed our calculation as well. Here you can actually see what we mean by this. The first time we did our time study, we're calling that our regular time study when we calculated out the 8.1 seconds. The second time we did it, we had CFA and there were more gates. And then the last 2 times we did it, we had the normal 10,000 number of students, but the gates were still at 52. So you can see the total time in seconds stayed the same. They always had 45 minutes to get in, but the number of attendees may have changed or the number of gates may have changed, and that impacted our calculated start-to-start time. So for our acceptance plan, each data set is representing a lot, and that's every time we have convo, all of the students that are coming in. And then samples are each data point in our data sets. Unfortunately, though, we don't have the same amount of samples from each lot, and each lot was not the same size due to us having CFA one time. So because of that variability, we are looking at t-tests, x-bar, r-charts, p-charts, and their OC curves. So speaking of OC curves, not everyone is super familiar with them. So OC stands for operating characteristic curve, and an OC curve depicts the discriminatory power of an acceptance sampling plan. It plots the probabilities of accepting a lot versus the fraction or the percentage defective. And then when you curve this, when you plot this curve out, the sampling risks can be more obvious.
Now we will continue by talking about our statistical quality control and the data tables we got from our analysis.
This is what our data actually came out looking like at the very end. So I'll just run through each of the columns really quickly. The first column is the start time. That's when we pushed the button to say like that the individual was putting their bag down on the table. The end time is when we ended that time study sample and we said that they had picked up their bag to walk to their seat. The total time is just the end time minus the start time. It's the total time it took that student to get through the entire process. But the start to start time here is the difference from like this start time is this start minus this start. And what that is saying, that's the number that we're really interested in, is it's the time that it takes the next student to start the security process. Now, the reason why there's some blanks in here is because the students weren't consecutive, meaning that like there was idle time between students, and we don't want to calculate that because that's going to misconstrue our data. So we're only taking those start to start times where students were in a flow continuously coming through. The next one is whether it's a binary, just 0 or 1, did they have bags or not. Metal detectors, did the metal detector go off or not? And then if it did, the wand start time is when they started wanding the student down, end time is when they finished, and then the total wand time, the total time it took for them to do that process.
In this chart, you can see each row corresponds to a separate time study that we did. And so in the first column, it tells you which time study it was. In the second column, it tells you the date that we took the data. The third column is the number of data points that were taken in that time study. And then the next column is the number of data points that actually qualified as a start to start. In the next column, we have the start to start mean for that data analysis day. And then the next one is the start to start standard deviation that corresponds to that analysis. Then we calculated the start to start time in seconds. And then we had the number of defectives, which were any that were over the start to start calculated time that should have been in seconds. And then finally we have the percentage of data points that were defective out of the whole.
So you can see in our first time study where we only had the 30 metal detectors, almost 80% of the data was defective. So almost 80% of students were taking longer than 8.1 seconds between themselves to start the security process. But as we go down, when they added more gates, it's closer to 40 to 45%, and that's much better, and that's really what we're aiming for. So these next two slides are going to be the distributions and t-test for our time study 1 and then for our time study 3. So the time study 1 was when we only had 30 gates and there were 10,000 students coming into convocation. You can see our distribution here, there's a lot of variability, and then our mean was about 14.3 seconds with a standard deviation of 6.7. And when we ran our t-test, the hypothesized value, what we had calculated that start to start time should be, was 8.1. However, you can see that the actual mean is way over here, and we can reject our null hypothesis. We can say that students are not getting into convo quickly enough. But then switching to time study 3, this is when there were 52 gates, but still only 10,000 students coming into convo. Our distribution here, you can see there's a little less variability. It's a little more clustered here. Our mean is actually a little higher. It's 15.6, Our standard deviation is also a little higher, 8.9, but because we have 52 gates, the hypothesized value is up at 14, and our actual mean was around 15, and you can see with our t-test, we cannot reject the null hypothesis. This is much better. It means that the students are much closer to where they should be in terms of getting into convo.
The rest of these graphs will be all specifically to time study 3, as that's what we'll focus on for the rest of the presentation. And so here we have the X bar chart, and each subgroup was set for 5 samples, so each dot represents 5 samples. It shows the mean of each subgroup, and overall it demonstrates the center location of those 5 samples as a smaller unit. And each letter here corresponds to 1 standard deviation. So C is 1 standard deviation, B is 2 standard deviation, and A is 3 standard deviations from the mean. And then where it's red is out of control. So as you can see, we had 1 point at the very beginning that was out of control, but then the rest of them were more towards the center. Then over here we have the R chart, which shows how the data is spread, and overall it shows the variability of the system. And so as you can see, it looks much the same as the X bar chart, with 1 point out of control, but then it goes towards the middle more. As you can see, our variability was reduced as the time study progressed. In this slide, we show our X bar and R chart with the upper specification limit and lower specification limits. And so how we calculate our lower specification limit was 0, because the time couldn't be below 0, and that was ideal. If you can have 0, it would be ideal. Our average mean that we calculated was 14.04. So then we just doubled that to get our upper specification limit as 28.08 to make them an even number away from the mean. And then over here we have our capability. CP is the process capability, and CPK is the process capability index, which is an adjustment of the CP, and the higher number the better. Both are very small values, which means the system is not very consistent to its average performance, and the ideal CPK would be 1.33.
At the very beginning, we talked about the OC curve, and this is our X bar OC curve. So the beta over here on the y-axis is the probability of acceptance, and on the x-axis here is the process, which is the process shift in number of seconds. So our mean for this, our target was around 15.6, and you can see that at 15.6, our probability of acceptance is 100%. And as we go lower, as we go towards 0, our probability of acceptance is less, just because it's less likely that it's going to happen. Normally you'll see OC curves that start up here and then they come down, and in that case this is probably more accurate, because if our time was 0, we would still want to accept that 100% of the time. So really a great OC curve would start up here and then it'd come down over here. But you can see as our time goes up towards 30 seconds, our probability of accepting it is going to be much lower. The P-chart monitors the proportion of non-conforming units in a sample, and similar to our X-bar and R-chart, you can see that at the beginning we have some that are out of control. Also similar to the X-bar chart, C is going to be that 1 standard deviation, B is 2, and A is 3. And a P-chart is used to determine if the process is stable and predictable. So here we have these 3 points in the beginning that aren't, but over time we can see it does get a little more stable. Using the P-chart with upper specification limits and lower specification limits, we use the same ones as with our X-bar and R-chart. And you can see here that our capability index is 1.33 and the capability adjustment is 1.09. Those are both really great numbers, and that's more where we'd want to see it. So our proportions are doing actually pretty well. We couldn't get a hold of LUPD to actually change what we were doing for our time studies, but if LUPD wanted to do a design of experiments in the future where they would record every single scenario, this is what they would be looking at. They would want to change if people had bags or not, and then the number of metal detectors, and then they'd be able to determine the start-to-start average for each of those scenarios. In conclusion, adding additional stations and metal detectors greatly helped the security process for convocation, but if they wanted to make the process more stable, they could consider making students wait to go through the doors until they're completely ready for the security process.